Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Kate. You're here at Kate a Dreamer. I decided I want to do a vlog. So I looked at my Libby account, which is how I get ebooks from my library through the Libby app. And I saw that I had a ton of books on there that all fit a late 2019, early 2020 release date, and they were all really popular romance releases. And I don't know if they're well-liked, really popular, but they certainly had a lot of buzz going when they were initially released. So I thought I would make it a fun vlog. So here we are! Yay! I'm filming this at the end of the vlog because I filmed it the first time and it was really a long explanation of each book, and the video is already long, so I'm gonna refilm it, make it quick, so you can get on to the actual vlog portion of the video. So it's not like big vloggy, like I didn't walk you through my days while I was reading these books, because this vlog does take place over the course of about a month, which you see my hair go through its time, because I did actually have a perm in, which is when you saw the really tight curls, and now perm's almost gone. So it's kind of fun to watch that time going. But let's talk about each book that I will be reading for this vlog. First up is If I Never Met You by Mihari Mcfarlane, and I'm going to try not to put opinion in these now that I've actually read them, but I did like this one. It takes place when Laurie's boyfriend of 18 years, okay, 18 years, breaks up with her. He says, I don't really want to do the commitment thing, don't want to get married, don't want to have kids, don't really want that joint bank account, even though they have one. Yeah, I don't really want it. Breaks up with her. They are co-workers, they work in the same office, so the office is a buzz when only a few short weeks later he shows up with his pregnant new girlfriend. Wanting to be the object of something other than pity, Laurie takes Jamie, the office playboy, up on his offer to engage in a fake relationship. He needs to impress the bosses, and she needs for people to talk about anything else. I can't talk about my opinion of this book. I liked it. Listen more to check out why. The Kissing Game by Hart was actually the first book that I read. This one follows Raina, the heroine, as she's working in a dive bar, preparing to open up her own hair salon. But there's this one guy who lives in their town who visits the bar very often, and she's waiting for him to ask her out. That's the plot. I didn't like this one. This is really hard to do with no opinion. Next up, I read The Right Swipe by Alicia Ray. This one follows Rhiannon. I hope that's her name. And she owns Crush, the most prominent dating app on the market. And it follows her when a one-night stand that she engaged with a few weeks ago and who stood her up the next day starts working with her competitor. Ooh. So there's a little bit of a second chance romance going on. There's a workplace situation, and those are two of my favorite tropes, so I had high hopes going into this one. Then we have The Friend Zone by Abby Jimenez, which was my favorite book of this video, and I feel no compunction. Oops. And I do not feel bad for saying that. It was my favorite book of this video. God, it was so good. It follows the main character, Kristen. I'm so impressed that I remembered her name. It's between Kristen and I think his name's Josh. His name is Josh. My genius. So this is a romance between Kristen and Josh. Josh is the best man in her best friend's wedding, so he's the groom's best friend. He just moved to their town. He's a firefighter, and he also rear-ended her car before they met. So it's a little bit of a hate to friends to love, but the friends thing was huge. So he actually ends up helping her out with her small business when her carpenter quits on her, and you know, so he's in her house all the time. They become really good friends, and you'd think that they would start dating, except Josh has talked about and is really adamant about the fact that he wants a really big family. He broke up with his last girlfriend because she didn't want kids, and Kristen is facing a medically necessary procedure that would render her infertile. So the feelings, the emotions, big, okay? Then I read The Honey Don't List by Christina Lauren. This is like an HGTV dream book, so says the synopsis. So this one follows Carrie and James. This one follows Carrie, and I think his name is James. They're both the assistants to the trips. Each one of them gets a trip because the trip is a husband-wife home design, remodel, TV show, book writing guru. Okay, they're famous, they're on book tour, celebrating their book about marriage, and they can't stand each other. The trips can't. So Carrie and we think his name is James go on the book tour with them to calm them down, to make sure that the public does not realize that they hate each other. So that's the book, and I'm not saying anything more. This is so hard. And then we have You Deserve Each Other by Sara Hogan. This book was a roller coaster. Oh my gosh, I'm not talking about it though. This one followed Naomi and Nicholas, who are 3 months away from getting married. However, they are miserable. Naomi hates their relationship, hates living with him, doesn't even like him all that much anymore. And the book starts when we realize that Nicholas feels the same and has been engaging in a type of war of attrition to get her to break up with him first, that he doesn't have to be the bad guy who broke up the marriage. So thus starts this childish game that's so enjoyable for the most part, where they battle it out and they pull pranks, and mostly just pranks, and act despicably and try to be as miserable and useless and a thorn in each other's side as possible. Oh, bye neighbor. And in order for the other person to cancel the wedding so that they don't have to pay for it. Nope, I can't talk about my opinion. So those are the books that I read for this video. Hopefully I did not include too much opinion where you still actually want to watch it. I have links in the drop box down below to full reviews on each of these books on my blog, so if you're a reader rather than a watcher, you can definitely check those out. Now on to the first book, The Kissing Game. Hi, so it is, God, I don't even know what day it is. Saturday, May 16th, and I'm gonna go ahead and start this vlog. It's almost 10 o'clock at night. I'm gonna start with The Kissing Game by Hart. This is the one where she wants to open her own beauty salon, but she's working at a dive bar, and Mr. Cold, Dark, and Handsome, brooding, ice German man, whatever that description was, needs to make his move before he doesn't see her as often. So I am excited. Lauren Lane blurbed this, who I really enjoyed. I haven't read a book of hers, gosh, in a while? Oh no, yeah, it's been a while. But I have enjoyed her books quite a lot in the past. She said it's sweet, sexy, and thoroughly satisfying. So, you know, Lauren Lane, we'll see. If you hear gross noises in the background, let me explain. This is Gabby. Hi, Gabby. She is eating her bone for the night. Every night she gets a few minutes with the bone. It's like a dental thing. So she's just leaving us with some really lovely noises. This is quite the angle. I should do the whole vlog like this. Hi! There she is. This is my Gabby. That is time that she very much treasures. So yeah, that's the noise. I don't know how loud it's gonna come through, but I'm sure you'll hear it. So time for me to start reading. Hi. It's the next day. It's Sunday night, and I have been reading The Kissing Game by Hart. I'm at 75% and I'm having a serious discussion with myself about DNFing. 75%. Oh, the book just got continually worse and worse. So I did it. I finished The Kissing Game by Marie Hart, and I am so disappointed. I've read Marie Hart books before. I remember enjoying them. I remember them being good. I remember her being able to write a character and her having a pretty nice writing style. So I'm not really sure what happened here. Now first I just want to address, this is not a standalone book. Not a standalone. There's like 2 sister series that have a host of characters that appear in this one. So reading this book, even though it may have been intended as a standalone and doesn't like fully fit in those series, I had no idea who any of the side characters were, who any of the people were, all these relationships. I'm just, oh no. It's marketed as a rom-com. It's titled like a rom-com. The cover, the illustrated cover is something that's very, very popular right now in romance, especially with rom-coms, but it just does not match the book. Even the description does not match the book. I just didn't consider this a rom-com. It wasn't funny at all. This book was just dull. Nothing happened. I didn't like the relationship. I didn't like how they treated each other. The white supremacy thing was weird. The heroine, I wanted to pull her hair out all the time. The main hero was the big dumb oaf German stereotype. And I felt for him in the beginning because he's gentle and soft and sweet, but oh my god, there's only so much I can take when he starts to go into the typical #book boyfriend, alpha a-hole. Can we not? And the heroine, just judgmental, naive, entitled, flighty, had expectations, and then when she wanted something and said that she wanted something and then he did it, it was off-putting for her. It's just very, very odd. I'm not going to go too in-depth. I will link my review in the description box below. That'll go a little bit more in-depth. But honestly, The Kissing Game, such a huge miss for me. I think I'm going with 1.5 star. I genuinely do not even know what The Kissing Game is. Like, the game. It's not a thing that was in the book. Unless they're talking about, like, this bullshit deal that they had for about 2 seconds. Hello! I just finished The Right Swipe by Alicia Ray. It's a little past midnight, and so this is the book where the main character, Rhiannon, just finished it and I am already struggling. Literally just set it down, hit record. The main character, Rhiannon, owns a dating app, and one of her past flings, one night stands, if you will, shows up as a competitor, as working with her competitor. The premise was interesting. It wasn't enough to keep me occupied. Hello! So I finished The Right Swipe last night, and I'm gonna be very quick because there are kids out here and they are not gonna be quiet for long. So I did finish The Right Swipe last night, and it almost sent me into a mini book slump, seeing as it took me the whole week to read it. And normally like 2 days is like the max, sometimes 3. But yeah, no. Premise versus reality with this one was a very different thing. So badass bitch Rhiannon ended up being cold, indignant, and manipulative. I did not love her. I just found Samson to be bland and perfect, but the banter was almost non-existent. I think there was one scene, and you know, normally I'm all about characters having separate lives from each other. It's a pet peeve of mine when a book is just hero and heroine together all the time. But this book, it was too much in kind of an odd way. So we never really got to see her, like, she was working for a large portion of the my hand is shaking. She was working for a large portion of the book, but we never really got to see her at work. There's a lot of both characters being very introspective in a very odd way. So didn't love that either. I wanted more of them together. I wanted banter, I wanted romance, I wanted chemistry, I wanted a connection, I wanted to understand why they loved each other. Ooh. Let's see. I did love the themes of workplace misogyny, women empowering women, hiring demographics, workplace demographics, #MeToo that happened. It was very feminist. It was very clear that Alicia Ray has a passion for these things, and it shone through really, really well. So that was a very interesting plot point. Done well, yes. It was just the romance that I was lacking, or lack thereof, I should say. Not much of a romance. So just wanted a connection, wanted something. I was considering DNFing this, like very much, but finally at around 74%, it picked up. It even made me a little teary at the end. I did like the ending. I didn't love it because, again, I didn't really care about the characters, but it did have a good ending, so that saved it a little bit, so it's not in the trash bin with the themes that it had and how well that was crafted. The themes are interesting, but again, no romance. Where's the romance? Gabby, where's the romance? Can you tell me? Where's the romance? Do you know where the romance is? No help. I'm gonna move on to If I Never Met You by Mihari Mcfarland, which I have heard amazing things about, so I'm really excited. Hello, so this is Editing Kate. I'm popping in because I just realized that all of my footage for If I Never Met You is gone. I'm smiling through the pain. I have my Gabby here with me. Say hi, Gabby. So yes, I'm just gonna kind of run you through it now. So yes, I'm talking about If I Never Met You by Mihari Mcfarlane. So this was the one where Lori is her name, right? See, I have an excuse this time because it has actually been a while since I've read the book. Yes, her name is Lori. I actually did really like this one. This was one of my favorite books of May. It's now mid-June. Sorry. It opens up with Lori's partner of 18 years, her boyfriend, breaking up with her because he doesn't actually want a serious relationship. However, it doesn't take long for news of his new pregnant girlfriend to hit the office that they both work in. And she is the subject of a lot of pity and humiliation, and she's feeling down in the worst way, rejected in the worst way. And my Lori. So after a chance encounter with the office playboy in an elevator, unfortunately it wasn't dirty in any way, she takes him up on his offer to fake date because she wants to be the subject of something other than pity around the office, and he needs to impress the bosses with a steady girlfriend, and Lori is highly regarded in the office. Now, a boyfriend of 18 years, that's most of my life. I'm 20, almost, 1 month to go, about 20 years old, so that's a long-ass relationship. That just blew my mind, the whole book, 18 years. Friendship was a really awesome theme in this book. So as with a fake dating story, you know, they're not crushing on each other. They're not really crushing on each other. They were just friends. They became really good friends. There wasn't even any kind of like romantic chemistry between the two until about 50% of the way through the book, which I loved. I love a good friends to lovers story. And Lori, she just went through hell. So she is trying to find herself again, you know, reconstruct her confidence, and wow. So this allowed room for a lot of emotional trust, mutual admiration, friendship, mutual appreciation, and loyalty. So Jamie and Lori built a really strong foundation for the start of their relationship to stand on. This is a slow burn romance. It started with something kind of easy and platonic, but it really grew, and I really loved watching it do that. Lori herself was painfully relatable in her self-love journey. Her journey to become a confident, independent woman away from codependence was refreshing. It felt genuine and raw, and I connected with it. The endgame for Lori was never about finding love, but it's fortuitous that she found herself there, and it was so cool. It was such a cool book. I cheered and cried and really rooted for Lori the whole length of the book. She was such a fun character. Jamie, he was sweet, you know, just a great guy. I loved their connection. They kept me grinning. He cheered for Lori more than I did, and they were just so cute. And there was only one bed that one time. My favorite trope. So yeah, perfect. It was a friends to lovers story. It was quite good. There were lots of good stuff in there. Definitely recommend this one for sure. So last night I finished The Friend Zone by Abby Jimenez, and I'm gonna put this down now because otherwise it'll look like this. I'm honestly shocked that this is a debut novel. Abby Jimenez also wrote the Happily Ever After playlist. I couldn't remember what it was called. And that's one of my most anticipated reads this year. I wouldn't say most, it's one that I'm really anticipating reading this year. So I went into this book with a little bit of trepidation, especially because it was her debut. I didn't want this book to color my expectations for her next book. Luckily, it was fantastic. I loved this book so much. This was a 5-star read for me, definitely. If you hear my dog in the background, I apologize. She does not like people who walk around. Anyway, let's see. To recap what this book is about, basically the main character, Kristen, and Josh do not like each other when they first meet because he accidentally rear-ends her. It was her fault, but he rear-ended her. Whatever, we're moving on. They end up being... Hi! Gabby's here. Hi, baby. Turns out that Josh is the best man in her best friend's wedding, and she's the maid of honor, so obviously they have to get along. He also starts helping her out. She has a home business doing dog merchandise, for lack of better words, and the contractor who built her doggy stairs so that, you know, stairs to get up to the bed and they aren't like the ugly ones from PetSmart, but they're built to match the furniture in your room, quit on her, and she needs someone who can do these, and he got volunteered. So he's now working with her on her business, and so much fun. The banter, the fight the attraction trope really works for me, I have to say, so it really worked for me here. This did have a level of workplace romance, which is one of my other favorite tropes, but the biggest thing here was the friends to lovers, for sure. The part about this book that I did not mention is they're becoming really good friends, and they become like best friends throughout this novel. They're together all the time, they're always hanging out, and he's always at her house anyway because he's building these stairs, but she's keeping him at a distance. She is not entertaining any notions of a relationship with him, even though he's tried and he brings it up several times. It's because she is facing a medically necessary procedure that will make her infertile, and he has been very vocal about the fact that he really wants a big family. Now, he does not know that this is happening with her, so it's not his fault, but it was really hurting for Kristen and Josh in this book. Like, oh my gosh, it felt like such an impossible situation. I had no idea how this was going to be resolved. Like, it's a romance, so like I knew, but I was just like, how is Abby Jimenez going to do it? I didn't want her to just like slap them together. It wouldn't have felt real and genuine, but it did. She did an incredible job with this. I do know that a few people had an annoyance with the way this ended. And I would have to say to read the author's note, because Abby, that's the author, Kristen's character, who had severe issues with her period. I think her period lasted 19 days in this book. She was constantly in so much pain. Like, oh my god. I cried so many times with this book, not just because of her situation, but because of the way that she was feeling. Abby Jimenez did a fantastic job bringing that to life. Anyway, if people were annoyed at the ending, it is 100% based off of a friend of Abby Jimenez. So the way that this book ended is the way that it ended for her friend. She did it in a way that honored her friend, and I think that was really cool. So this book was just so genuine. The banter that Kristen and Josh had, they were amazing friends. They had such a sincere connection, and oh my god, like again, the amount of times that I cried. But the OCD representation, the infertility. My favorite parts about this book were definitely the complexity of the characters. This is not a fluffy chicklet rom-com book that you can just read and throw away. Like, this book sticks, and I read it 24 hours ago and I'm tearing up just thinking about it. Just the journey that Kristen went on. Like, this book was a journey, and this book is a little bit deceptive, not in a bad way, just in a way where you read it and it starts and it's really cute. Josh and Kristen are friends, but they're fighting, becoming more. But as you get to know the characters better, and as the characters get to know each other better, the book delves deeper and deeper. So even if we're starting up here and it's really light, believe me, this book got heavy, and it was so good. It was so good. I loved that Kristen was strong, and she was sarcastic, and she got angry, and it was so funny. And she was the way that she was, and she was not gonna change. She was not gonna dress to impress. She was not gonna do a single thing to change who she was. I thought she was truly an inspirational heroine, and oh. Hello, it's several days later. The birds are feeling joyful. I started first with The Honey Don't List by Christina Lauren. It's gonna reflect everything. I got a ring light. This is why I'm looking a little new, but I did read The Honey Don't List by Christina Lauren. I had one day left on my library alone. I was so excited to read The Honey Don't List because it features some of my favorite tropes. It's got the workplace romance forced proximity thing going on, because this is the one where Carrie is an assistant to the Trips, which is a husband and wife home owning, design, building, concept, HGTV guru couple. She's been with them her whole adult life since she was 16. She is actually the backbone of the brand, even though she's officially just Melissa's assistant. So she has to go on the book tour with the Trips because the Trips actually cannot stand each other, like at all. So Carrie has to go with Robert's assistant. Is his name Robert? I know it's an R. Randy? Maybe it's Randy. With Mr. Tripp's assistant, James. And James is not happy about this because he's an MIT grad. He was hired to be the head of engineering for the home design show. So him and Carrie are both stuck in this role as the assistant, going on a book tour to babysit two fully grown adults who are constantly yelling at each other and cannot stand each other, and are on a book tour for their book about marriage. Yikes. So yes, there was a friends to lovers aspect that I really enjoyed in here, even though James and Carrie were kind of like snarling cats in the beginning. They didn't really like each other. It wasn't like a hate to love or enemies to love, because, you know, they had like a truce because they had to put up with these two people together, and they became friends. There's this forced proximity because they're on a book tour bus all day. They have to go to all the events together, so they're together all the time. And it's a workplace romance, obviously, because they're at work. They're both on this trip against their will, but it is part of their job. So, you know, that forced proximity thing, it just works for me. I loved the build that we saw with James and Carrie. It was a bit of a slow burn. It's an interesting thing because it started out with a slow burn, but then it got a little insta-lovey in the end, so I was kind of not loving that. I think the romance did need a little bit more for me. Hi. Oh. Come here. Yes, it did go a bit insta-lovey for me. I needed a little bit more in terms of the romance, because it kind of it jumped. So there was this really awesome build as they find out that, you know, they're friends, they like each other, they find more about each other, they start relying on each other, sleeping together, and then all of a sudden, like, you know, things blow up as they do at the end of romance novels, and then it's like lifelong commitment. What? I think you need to date. Because there's a difference between being together all the time on a book tour and actually being together in the real world. So I found the jump kind of annoying. Insta-love works sometimes in very limited cases, and this was not one of them for me. Overall, the ending, I don't even think that was necessarily the problem. The ending was very rushed all around. I was like, oh. I remember like making that noise when I finished. I turned the page and it was the acknowledgements. I was like, oh. It was like the beginning of the book was the first 70%, and then you had the middle and the end. No, it was still a good book. I did enjoy the concept a lot. I mean, I love HGTV. I don't watch it enough. But I did want a little bit more of the home improvement in this one, because, you know, your home improvement gurus, they have stores, they have a whole brand, they have a couple books, they have their own show, and, you know, it took place on a bus and then promoting a book. And it was just expectations versus reality. It was a little bit different than what I wanted. Hello again! Hi. Oh, I got it. Oh, shoot. Carrie was such a great heroine. She was so loyal to the trips. I just wanted to give her a hug, because she had no confidence in her abilities, even though they got the trips everywhere. James was just super cool. I loved how supportive he was. Overall, it was good. I gave it 4 stars. I did really enjoy it. It was one of those where I was like, yeah. And then the book wrapped up and I was like, you know, that was really good, but, you know, there were some things. So maybe I should give it a 3.5, but I did just really enjoy it. So we'll stick with 4. So that's all I have for the Honey Don't list. What other books do I have left? Looks like I have You Deserve Each Other coming up next by Sara Hogan. It's due in 5 days, so you should be seeing me here soon. It's a few days after you heard from me for the Honey Don't list. So if you don't remember from my short little synopsis part in the beginning of this video, this book follows Naomi Westfield as she is preparing to marry Nicholas Rose. They've been engaged for a few months now. If I remember the timeline, I think they dated for 6 months and then got engaged right before they moved in with each other, it follows Naomi as she realizes that she hates her marriage. And in fact, she estimates that right at the beginning of the book, she only loves him about 40%. Which just made me laugh just thinking about it. And then she finds out that Nicholas has actually been engaging in a war of his own, where he's trying to get her to say no to the marriage without him having to do anything. So he can be the good guy afterwards, but Naomi, no, she is determined. She can't afford to pay for the wedding that his parents ripped from her hands. Mother-in-law made her buy a $6,000 dress that she can't afford to pay her back for, so it's a mess. It's basically this whole war of attrition after where Naomi and Nicholas pester each other and do these little things to drive each other crazy throughout this book to get the other person to call off the wedding. But Nicholas surprises Naomi when he buys them a house, moves them right in. She had no idea, didn't help pick out the house, and in his mind, what she doesn't know is that he's looking at this house as their last chance. I have to admit, I went into this book knowing that there were some mixed reactions. I love a good enemies to lovers romance, but when the nemesis, book mail, but when the nemesis actually happens to be your fiance, yeah, I was a little unsure about how that was going to work out, and I actually hated this book in the beginning. hated it. The first 50 pages were that frantic narration that tends to follow rom-coms, where it's just like this frantic word blah barfing of random things about how much she hates their marriage, how much she does not like him, how miserable they are. And I'm reading this book like, oh my god, I cannot take any longer. But I made myself get to at least 40% before I decided to DNF, because I had heard that it does get a little bit better there towards the end. But luckily, even though I hated this book in the beginning and was making snippy comments in the paragraphs for the first 50 plus pages, I freaking loved this book. The beginning is hard to get through, I will admit. I hated Nicholas in the beginning. I thought, what a piece of shit. He doesn't, like, what, lazy? He just abandons Naomi for his controlling mother, who's literally ridiculous. Like, it starts raining and she calls Nicholas to get her groceries out of the car because it's raining, and it doesn't matter that he's in the middle of his workday. She needs his help, so he'll drop over and get it. And I was like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I cannot compute with this stupidity. So yeah, I hated him in the beginning. Wasn't even really sure that I liked Naomi, but oh my god, the end. You know what? These two became nemesises. Nemesi? They were each other's nemesis, let's say that. But when they moved into their new house, it was all pranks, and they started having a lot of fun. And you know what? Even though it didn't start off good at all, their relationship turned into something really enviable. Like, absolutely best friends. We got to watch that connection happen. So they both comment that they don't really remember the beginning, what it felt like to fall in love. But this time they comment throughout the book that this is their second time meeting as strangers, but this time it'll stick. And they kind of are learning through these things that they let happen in their marriage. They're learning how they may have each failed on their side of the marriage and are learning to work through that, and it's actually really incredible. I really liked it. And I can't believe I'm saying this because I literally posted on my Instagram last night how much I was hating this book. But I can't tell you how awesome I thought their connection was at the end. The end was just so cute. Like, they're living together, they hate each other, but slowly they're becoming friends again. They're taking each other's back. They're saying, you know, I understand what he's saying about how I messed this part up. I'm gonna try that. You know, taking sides, siding with each other instead of leaving each other to the wolves. And you know what? It was just so much fun. And I believe it. I believe their connection. So I don't know where this leaves me rating wise, where it's a 2-star in the beginning and a 5-star at the end. But I just really loved it. Take with that what you will. If you think it's worth waiting through in the beginning to get to a treasure, this one might be a good one for you. But I mean, it was a rom-com, like, straight and through. It's got that narrative that sometimes I like and sometimes drives me crazy, where it's like this bam bam bam. That's kind of how the narration feels sometimes, where you're like talking about something and then you throw something like completely random, like a weird metaphor in there as well. So I don't know, that's how I thought, that's how I felt. That was my vlog on all of the 2019-2020 romances that I had on my Libby account. Hi Gabby. They can't see you, darling. I read some really, I found some gems. It was a tumultuous ride, honestly. Some of these books I did not like at all. Some of these books I freaking loved. And some of these books, I felt both. So it was definitely, I did enjoy doing this vlog. It did take a little bit more time than I budgeted for it, but alas, I think this is coming out about a month after I planned. But you know, library renewals are a wonderful thing and they should be cherished and celebrated. So that's all that I have for you guys. I hope to have another video out soon. I really want to do one discussing all my favorite paranormal urban fantasy reads. If you stuck around to listen to all of this, I appreciate you so much. You have my heart. Mwah! Love you all. Have a good day and dream big.